Ronnie James Dio has worked with some of the most brilliant guitarists in classic rock history, including Ritchie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, and Vivian Campbell. There are many other guitarists he's worked with, and I've put a list of them for you below in the description box, and I'd like for you to check over that list and then tell me which of those guitarists you feel was the best guitarist that Dio ever worked with. Meanwhile, let's listen in here to what Dio had to say about which one of those guitarists was the greatest he ever worked with. Let's listen to what Ronnie James Dio had to say right here.
All new players. We have a great young guitar player. Rowan Robertson is our guitar player. Rowan joined us when he was 17 years old. He's now an old codger of 18, and it shows, I think. He's just a great player. He's the best I've ever worked with.
I got to be in the band by originally sending a tape from England, which my friend, persuaded me to send. I didn't really want to send it because I figured, I was only 16 when I made the tape. And about 6 months later or something, Wendy just phoned me up one evening at 8 o'clock and asked me how I'd feel playing in front of 20,000 people.
Was Rowan Robertson really the best guitarist Dio ever worked with? Dio called Robertson the best guitarist he ever worked with, which is kind of an eye-catching statement considering the fact that he played with Ritchie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, and Vivian Campbell. So why would he have done that? Well, first of all, Robertson was 17 years old when he joined Dio, and this is a very important thing. When Lock Up the Wolves was being made in 1990, Robertson's technical abilities and fluid phrasing and his ability to kind of blend blues with neoclassical was astounding, and his signature playing on songs like Hey Angel and Wild One showed that he had a lot of energy and imagination. So I think these are some of the reasons why Dio might have called Rowan Robertson the best, but in reality I don't think best is actually what he meant. Considering the fact that Dio played with Ritchie Blackmore, who is in the top 5 of greatest guitarists of all time on most people's lists, and Tony Iommi, who is right up there with him, it's hard to imagine that a relatively unknown player like Robertson could really challenge these guys. And I think that there was another dynamic going on here other than just Rowan Robertson's playing. Now I would like for you to listen to something that Ritchie Blackmore said about Ronnie James Dio.
I wanted to write something similar, with the orchestra being very grand and majestic and compelling, and that's where we came out with Stargazer, and Ronnie delivered very well. Ronnie wrote the middle part of that, which is very unusual for a singer to write, the part which goes up ba 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 da 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 dum. He'd actually get the keyboard player to play something he heard in his head, which I thought was brilliant. Normally singers don't write riffs, but he had good ideas with riffs, and he has an incredible sense of humor. He's probably one of the only guys that can make me laugh.
What he said there was that he could play anything for Ronnie, and Ronnie could make it into a song. And Ronnie was able to follow Blackmore's ideas and intentions and keep pace with him musically. I think this is a reason why Dio looked at Rowan Robertson as his, quote, best guitarist, because he was hoping that Rowan Robertson would fill that role for him. In other words, if you look back at the list of guitarists that Dio played with, most of them were very self-commanding and were leaders in their own right. When it comes to someone like Ritchie Blackmore or Tony Iommi, they're definitely not followers. The same can also be said for Vivian Campbell, whose tussles with Dio are quite well known and deserve their own series of video. But the fact remains that I think Ronnie was looking for a guitarist who would do for him what he did for Ritchie Blackmore, which is to follow his vision but not attempt to take over. And I think that this is one reason why he found it appealing to get a young kid who was only 17 into the band, because he could hold more overt control and authority over the guitar player. Now, I think this was a really bad idea. I don't think that it's a good idea to look for a guitarist who will complement the lead vocalist. I don't think that's a smart strategy when it comes to a band. I don't think you should start to build a band from the singer out. I think you should probably build the band from the songwriter out, and for that reason, I think some of what Ronnie James Dio had to offer with Rowan Robertson was interesting. But at the same time, I think that what went wrong, in my opinion, is that Ronnie James Dio tried to have too much control over this young, fiery player. And for this reason, I can't see Rowan as anything other than an abnormality in Dio's career and a kind of a sour note in it, to be honest. And I don't see him as the best guitarist that Dio ever worked with. My pick for that would be Ritchie Blackmore. That said, I find Black Sabbath to be a better band than Rainbow or Deep Purple. But at the same time, I think that the best fit that Ronnie ever had for his musical vision and style was when he worked with Ritchie Blackmore. And in second place, I'd put Vivian Campbell. Those are my picks. Now, tell me what your picks are. This is what I think, but what really matters is what you think. So if you have an idea about this or any other topic connected to classic or contemporary music, please drop it in the section below, and remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Music Guru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.